I went on a road trip with my 2 friends to Washington for our cousin's wedding. We wanted to make the most of our trip, so we planned to explore new places and have an amazing time together. As we drove towards Oregon, we realized it was getting late and we needed a place to spend the night. We all agreed that camping would be a great idea. We wanted to experience the outdoors and sleep under the stars. So we started looking for a good spot to set up our tent. After a bit of searching, we found the perfect camping area. It was nestled in a beautiful forest, surrounded by tall trees and a clear blue sky above. We were thrilled to have discovered such a picturesque spot. We quickly got to work, setting up our tent. It was a big one, with enough room for all of us to comfortably sleep inside. We were all pretty tired from the day's activities, especially from our fishing adventure. We had spent hours by the river trying to catch some fish. It was a lot of fun, but also quite exhausting. As we were getting ready to relax and make ourselves comfortable, something unexpected happened. We noticed a young woman approaching us, and she was unbelievably attractive. She looked a bit confused, as if she didn't know where she was going. She politely asked if she could join us and rest for a while. We were all ecstatic. It felt like a magical moment to have someone so stunning want to spend time with us. Excitedly, my friends and I discussed what to do. We came up with an idea. Since we had limited sleeping space, we thought it would be fair for my friend Nick to share the tent with her while the rest of us slept in the car. We figured it would be a great chance for Nick to get to know her better and maybe even create a special connection. We eagerly suggested our plan to Nick, who seemed a little surprised but intrigued by the idea. He agreed, thinking it could be a wonderful opportunity to spend time with such a captivating person. As the rest of us settled into the car, we couldn't help but feel a mixture of excitement and anticipation for what the night had in store for our friend Nick. In the middle of the night, while my friends and I were in the car, we heard strange moaning sounds coming from the tent. It seemed like someone was having a good time in there. We tried to ignore it, assuming our friend and the woman were enjoying each other's company. We were happy for him after all. But a few hours later, our friend Nick, who had been in the tent, came knocking on the car door, crying uncontrollably. We quickly opened the door and asked him what was wrong. Through his tears, he told us that the young, beautiful girl had transformed into a muscular creature with a human-like shape. She had assaulted him, and he was bleeding between his legs. It was a horrifying revelation, and I could hardly believe what I was hearing. One of my friends started laughing. But I quickly hushed him, realizing the seriousness of the situation. We decided not to bother packing up the tent, as blood was splattered all over it. It was a chilling reminder of what had happened. We hastily left the camping spot, speeding away from the forest. As we were exiting, we glanced back and saw a creature standing in the distance. It was in the shape of a human, but its appearance was twisted and unsettling. The creature just watched us as we drove off, leaving us with a feeling of unease and terror. It was a road trip that turned into a horrifying nightmare. We never expected such a terrifying encounter during what was supposed to be a fun adventure. The memory of that night still haunts us, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. And for my friend Nick, after coming back from the trip, he never talked to us or hung out with us anymore because he thought we were making fun of him that night. But really, I just felt bad for him. Five of us, close friends seeking adventure and fun, found ourselves in the heart of the woods, far from any sign of civilization. We had been cruising down a narrow road, laughing and singing along to our favorite tunes, when a momentary lapse of focus caused our cars to collide with a bone-jarring impact. The world seemed to spin as the screeching of tires and the deafening crash filled the air. Disoriented and shaken, we stumbled out of our vehicles, hearts pounding with fear and confusion. Assessing the damage, we realized that our cars were beyond repair, leaving us stranded in the middle of nowhere. A chill ran down my spine as I glanced around, the dense forest closing in on us from all sides. The towering trees seemed to whisper secrets, their branches swaying ominously. Darkness crept into the corners of my mind as panic threatened to consume me. I turned to my 4 friends, their faces etched with worry and uncertainty, and knew that we had to find a way out of this eerie wilderness. With trepidation, we decided to venture deeper into the woods, hoping to stumble upon a nearby town or a kind stranger who could offer assistance. Each step felt heavy, as if the very ground beneath us resisted our presence. The once familiar sounds of nature grew distant and unfamiliar, replaced by an unsettling silence that hung in the air like a thick fog. As we pushed forward, our path illuminated only by the dim glow of the moon, an unnerving sensation settled over us. It was as if unseen eyes were watching our every move, and an inexplicable fear clutched at our hearts. Yet, we pressed on, driven by the desperate need to escape this forest's clutches. Suddenly, the rustling of leaves broke the silence, jolting us from our thoughts. 5 figures emerged from the shadows, their presence sending a wave of terror through our bodies. They wore masks, grotesque and haunting, hiding their identities and intentions. Fear rooted us to the spot as they closed in on us, like predators stalking their prey. In a whirlwind of chaos, the masked figures overpowered us, their strength and determination overpowering our feeble attempts to resist. They swiftly captured us, their grip tight and unyielding, as they led us deeper into the heart of the woods. Every step felt like a descent into a nightmare, our hearts pounding with a primal instinct to escape this malevolent trap. Finally, we arrived at an old, decrepit wooden house, standing alone in the darkness. Its warped walls creaked with the weight of years gone by, and an unsettling aura permeated the air. Inside, we were forced onto creaking chairs and tightly bound, our freedom slipping away like sand through our fingers. As the masked figures loomed before us, a dreadful revelation struck like lightning. Slowly, they removed their masks, revealing faces that mirrored our own. My heart almost stops as I see my older self staring at me with fear in his eyes, as if he were shocked and surprised too. It was an impossible sight, as if time had folded upon itself, trapping us in a paradoxical loop. Shock and confusion danced in our eyes as we gazed upon our own older selves, trapped in this nightmarish cycle. The 5 masked individuals explained that they had been ensnared in this temporal web for a decade, unable to escape its clutches. Time had become a twisted entity, taunting and toying with us. Desperation gnawed at our souls as we grappled with the reality that our older selves had endured this haunting fate for so long. Night draped its suffocating blanket over the wooden house, engulfing us in darkness. Our older selves, exhausted and resigned, succumbed to sleep, leaving us alone in our torment. It was in this moment, amidst the silence and shadows, that a flicker of hope ignited within us. We knew we had to seize this chance to break free, to reclaim our lives from the clutches of the time loop. Summoning every ounce of strength and resilience, we wriggled and fought against our restraints until we finally broke free. Adrenaline coursed through our veins as we fled from the house, our hearts pounding like a war drum. We ran, desperate to escape this cycle, yet no matter how far we sprinted, the old house reappeared, its malevolent presence drawing us back into its grasp. Hope dwindled, and despair threatened to consume us entirely when a glimmer of salvation appeared. A white rabbit hopped into our line of sight, its pureness and innocence a stark contrast to the sinister woods. An inexplicable pull guided us as we followed the rabbit's lead, trusting that it held the key to our liberation. Step by step, the rabbit guided us through the labyrinthine forest, our determination unyielding. Hours turned into an eternity as we trudged on, driven by a desperate yearning to break free from this merciless cycle. And then, through the dense foliage, we stumbled upon a road, a lifeline in this twisted reality. Exhausted but filled with newfound hope, we walked along the road, our eyes fixed on the distant horizon. Miraculously, a car appeared, its headlights slicing through the darkness. A surge of relief flooded our beings as we frantically waved, urging the driver to stop and save us from this torment. With unwavering kindness, the stranger halted the car, their eyes filled with concern and compassion. In an act of true selflessness, they opened their doors, allowing all 5 of us to squeeze into the vehicle. We were finally on our way to the nearest gas station, where we could seek help and escape the clutches of this unfathomable nightmare. To this day, the memory of seeing our older selves trapped in the woods haunts us, an enigma that defies explanation. The hows and whys remain shrouded in mystery, forever eluding our understanding. Yet, we carry with us the profound gratitude for the white rabbit that led us to the road, guiding us toward freedom and saving us from the relentless grasp of the time loop. Though the forest's secrets may forever remain hidden, we cherish the freedom we gained and the unity that grew stronger within us. Story 3. I was once a passionate road tripper. I always used to think I was born to be on the road, constantly on the move from place to place. My family always told me to stay put and try to start a family of my own, but that never appealed to me. Since I was not married, I didn't have a lot of obligations and responsibility, so my life consisted of working during the week and jumping right on the road from Friday to Sunday night. I thought it would never change, until one fateful night made me stop and rethink my life. It was like any other weekend. I packed up, and I drove off down the welcoming road. I would sometimes choose a destination, and other times I would just drive around randomly. This weekend, I chose to go randomly. I drove, and before I knew it, I was on a road with nothing but empty spaces on either side. There were no trees at all. It was only miles and miles of sand. Then, in a blink, it was already starting to get dark, so I decided to park a little way from the road in case a car came by and didn't see me. The spot I parked was just like the rest of the scene, with no trees in sight. Everything went smoothly. I took out food and started cooking it. After I finished eating, it was already dark, so I blasted my music and just relaxed. Right when I was about to reach out to turn off the music to call it a night, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something weird. I turned to look at it, but it was too dark, so I couldn't get a good look at it. All I saw was the outline of something out there near me. I turned on my flashlight and pointed at it, and when I did so, I had to take a pause, for I didn't know what to think. It was a huge tree. It was weird because I could have sworn there was no tree in sight, but now a tree was just there, just ahead of me. I could see the branches going up and splitting every which way, making what seemed like an umbrella. Usually, looking at such a sight, you would feel the true beauty of nature, but in this case, all I could feel coming out of me was a sense of dread, like I had witnessed something a human should never lay eyes upon. I thought back to stories about trees to see if I could somehow find a clue, and then my mind finally had a clue. The tree of life, but this does not seem to be alive at all. This tree was like a tree that took lives instead. The moment I thought of that, as if somehow reading my mind, I could see the branches moving as if they were one long entity. Then, to my horror, the branches shook, and the vision of the tree finally became clear. The things that I mistaken for branches were just one long, huge black snake with the occasional glowing spots on its body. It was curling its body around a huge trunk, making it look as though it was just a huge tree. But then, 1 second later, it became a huge tree again, and it was just branches. Yet a second later, the branches became a huge snake again. It was like the tree or snake was playing a trick on my mind, making me see two different things. Then, to my horror, when I saw the snake again, I could see that its head was raised very high above the sky, looking at me with two huge, deep eyes. In that moment, I felt so insignificant, as if I were looking at a god or a being of such rank. Except this being has eyes that feel so malevolent. It was like looking at all the evils of this world and having them crush me. The moment I couldn't take it anymore, I heard a hiss from the snake. It shook me to my core because somehow I could feel what it was saying. It was saying, "You have met me. Next time we meet, we'll be part of each other." The moment I felt that, the snake's vision became even clearer. The things I thought were just glowing spots were actually the heads of various people. Heads were everywhere on the snake's body. What's worse was that I could see their mouth opening and looking at me with such dead eyes. I became so afraid that I took a step back and fell down. The moment I hit the ground, I heard a swish sound and then just silence. I quickly got back up, but I saw nothing. The tree was gone. From that moment on, I did not go on a road trip again because I did not want to meet it. I tried to do various kinds of research about what happened, but I came up with nothing resembling what I saw that night. Heaven above, I pray that you will keep me safe from this moment onward.